Welcome back to the Moreno Show. I hope it finds you well. Guys, today was the second round of RFK Jr.'s confirmation hearing, and it did not let you down. Nukes were dropped, careers were ended, lies and corruption were exposed, and it was so good. So I want to go ahead and talk about some of the highlights that I saw today. And there is this one moment between RFK Jr. and Bernie Sanders where Bernie Sanders' head literally exploded. And yes, I'm exaggerating to make a point, but check this out. If this is like the one clip that you see from the confirmation hearing, today's confirmation hearing, it's going to be okay. All right. Also, real quick, if you like what we talk about here, if you want to be part of more conversation in the future, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It means the world to me. Okay, check this out.
I'm going to make America healthier than other countries in the world right now.
Will you guarantee do what every other major country does? That's a simple question.
And by the way, Bernie, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, no,
and protecting their interests.
Oh.
Okay. This is the fact that Bernie Sanders knew this was coming. It's like his response was locked and loaded. Okay. It's like what he says next is so rehearsed. He knew this was coming.
I thought that would, no. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives, not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers.
In 2020, you were the single largest
because I had pharmaceutical contributions from workers all over this country. Workers,
you were the
not a nickel from corporate tax.
You were the single largest acceptor of pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in
1.5 million.
Yeah, out of 200 million. All right, but you have not answered. Last question.
Holy smokes. That was so good. Are you kidding me? Okay. But let's kind of let's peel back the onion a little bit. Let's see if is there any truth to this at all. Okay. So people are, like I said, people have been talking about this all day, but it's not just enough to talk about something. We got to know if it's real, if there's any merit behind this, if Bernie Sanders is right or if RFK Jr. is right. So according to this incredible website that shows the top 20 member recipients of money from pharmaceutical and health products, okay, from 1990 to 2024. This is actually very surprising to me in kind of an ironic way, but Kamala Harris's name is number one here. Kamala Harris, $11.3 million. That is wild. Okay, but RFK Jr. is right. Bernie Sanders is at the top of this list, right in the top 20, and he's collected almost $2 million. But like, what does this number really mean? Okay, because Bernie Sanders in that clip said they weren't from CEOs and they weren't from PACs. They were from workers, right? And this claim was actually backed up by, look at this, apparently someone who was co-chair on Bernie Sanders' campaign, and he says this gotcha is flat out false. The 1.5 in pharma dollars came from everyday workers in the industry who are fed up with the system, not CEOs or super PACs fighting to preserve it. So what's true? And is there an idea, or is there a world in which two things can be true at the same time? Okay, because is it black or is it white or is it gray? All right. I love that Anna Mattson, I think, really answers this perfectly. She says, employees of pharma still have an interest in their success, right? Many have stock options too. This is not the clapback you think it is. Whoa. Okay. So now you kind of see the duality here, because like, did RFK Jr. kind of exaggerate to make a point? Because Bernie Sanders isn't someone who is free of any, crazy pharma interests. No, he has it too, right? But did he also just run a campaign and he was just trying to squeeze out as much money as possible from the people who were supportive of him? Maybe that's also true. But even then, the people who supported him, the people who were, I'm not pointing at me, right? But I'm saying, like, hypothetically, the people who were supportive of him, do they not have interest, or do they not have their own internal bias that is trying to get someone elected because they think it'll ultimately be better for their own profit, for their own stake in the game? Could that be true as well? I think so. I think so. All right. Now, that was one of the most viral clips of today. That I believe it has like, what, 30 million views, way more. That's just off one user who posted that video. But now I want to go ahead and share other clips that I saw from whenever I was watching the hearing earlier. And I just wanted to show kind of the support that he was getting among other senators. And I just thought these clips were definitely worth mentioning. And I didn't really see them being shared across X, but I wanted to go ahead and relay them to you. Check this out.
We need to embrace diversity and make room for diversity in this country, and not force people to do things that are against their conscience.
So good. I love that. And I the reason I really wanted to share that clip is just because I love how RFK Jr. is he is such a hero in this idea of diversity of thought, diversity of conversation. Like, if you show him one way, he'll immediately start thinking of 12 other different categories, or 12 other different paths, just because that's just the way his brain works. And that's why so many senators don't really know how to grapple with so much of this information, just because he's a maven, he's an outsider, he's a bold thinker. And even in this moment whenever he's trying to make a different point, he has to highlight that, yeah, maybe not everyone's gonna think this way, but we gotta at least talk about it. Okay. Now, there's this other moment with Senator Banks talking about RFK Jr. And I love that in this moment, he shares that RFK Jr. really did something special in terms of bringing this conversation to the masses. People who wouldn't normally be part of this conversation, people who don't usually care about confirmation hearings, are now active participants in this national conversation because of people like RFK Jr. Check this out.
Look at this room. We had a full room, and here's
Sorry, I was listening to this in 2x. Let me go ahead and bring this back to 1. I can't be the only one who listens to things in 2x, right? Check this out.
But thank you. Look at this room. We hadn't had a full room in here since I've been in here 4 years on any hearing. Thank you for bringing the light to what this is all about. It's about health in our country. There might have been a half a dozen people in the last Health and Human Services nominee. Nobody was interested. Lawyer who worked from home in California, didn't do a damn thing in terms of what we needed when COVID was full steam. So thank you. Thank you for getting our young people involved. My 2 boys, 28 and 30, a year or so ago, they were going to vote for you for president of the United States. You know why? Because you're trying to save their group of people from the chemicals and the things that we have in our food. They're fired up about it. And you brought light to that. And thank God you've done that. You brought importance to what we're doing. You know, I coached for 40 years. In the last 4 or 5 years.
There we go. And I just left a comment on Hank Green. I don't know if you saw that video, but Hank Green was talking about how we got to reject RFK Jr. We got to reject this ideology because it's no good. And in my comment, I was pretty much saying how, you know what? At least we're actually engaging in this conversation. At least so many people are talking about it on a national scale. Is that not a net positive? Because sure, you know what? Maybe we're not going to get everything right the first time. But you know what I know? As an absolute fact, I know we're going to figure it out if and only if we talk about it. There's this incredible story with Steve Jobs whenever, and I don't know if this is like fact, but I remember I heard this, and it was regarding Steve Jobs. But apparently he had a neighbor who invited him over to his backyard, and his neighbor told him, like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and take this rock, grab one of those rocks over there. He threw it in a washing machine. He turned it on, and then Steve Jobs left and came back the next day. The next day he shows up, and the neighbor just stopped the washing machine or the dryer, and he took it out. And that rock that was in there, that was full of a bunch of ridges and cuts, and it just looked like a normal stone. Whenever he took it out of that washer, it was soft, it was round, and it was refined. Why? Because when you put a rock in a dryer, and it circulates time and again, it bangs up and it just gets refined, it smoothens out the rough edges. And that's what I think is happening right now in these conversations. Yeah, they're talking about really important things, really controversial things, all important stuff. And that's good. Maybe it gets messy. Maybe feelings get hurt along the way. Maybe people don't know how to respond. But at least when we talk about it, things get done. Things don't get done when things are ignored. Okay, so that's what I love about this moment. All right, moving on a little bit. Wasn't planning on bringing that up, but maybe that's why Steve Jobs was so meticulous with Apple and making sure that their products were incredible. I'm going to go ahead and do research on that story because I heard it. I do believe it's real, but I need to do a little bit more research on it. So I saw this from George Behezy tweets. He says, Susan Collins on RFK Jr. He answered my questions. Well, Senator Collins right there. And he says, RFK Jr.'s confirmation is now super likely. George Behezy tweets, he didn't just write one super, he wrote three. This is what I love to see. Check this out. We have Congressman Thomas Massey over here saying a vote against RFK Jr.'s confirmation is a vote to protect swamp creatures and corporations from a true advocate of the people and their health. Exactly. Just in the same way that we just talked about this on in the video from yesterday. One of the senators said, "Look at this big stack of letters. These are all people who just love you. Are you kidding me?" And again, it's because RFK Jr. is a man of the people. He's an advocate. He's not someone who's putting on a show. He's someone who is the show. Okay, I love it. All right, and this was another moment from RFK Jr. and Bernie Sanders, and this is a great example that Bernie was trying to put Kennedy in the box, and Kennedy's like, I don't know what box you're talking about, but I don't live it. I don't live in it. Check it out.
Last year, the insurance industry in this country made over $70 billion, while at the same time, 85 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. Do you agree with me that the United States should join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people as a human right? Yes? No?
Senator, I can't give you a yes or no answer to that question.
Healthcare a human right? Is healthcare a human right?
In the way that free speech is a human right,
Yeah.
I would say it's different because if with free speech doesn't cost anybody anything, but in healthcare, if you smoke cigarettes for 20 years and you get cancer, you are now taking from the pool. Well, and so are you guaranteed the same right? Or is there also a duty?
I'm sorry. I'd love to talk for an hour with you. We got a few minutes left here. All right. Every other country on earth says healthcare, whether you're poor or rich, young or old, is a human right. I'm not hearing you say that.
I do love that. In the same way that we saw RFK Jr. last week being completely silent in front of reporters and journalists, I feel like even RFK Jr.'s non-answers here are really something to look at, because it's not necessarily that he's dodging the question, but he's shedding more light to a bigger conversation, and that goes towards government efficiency and private and public health insurance. So I do think this is really interesting. And obviously Sanders wasn't pleased with his answers, but what's more important here is that RFK Jr. didn't bite. All right. Now, one of the last things that I want to share is, check this out. This was from today, and you might have heard this before. If you're someone who has been meticulously following RFK Jr., you might have heard the story of him getting up for the past 20 years and praying to God that he gets it put into a position where he can make some actual astronomical change in the lives of millions of people. And it's a beautiful thing. If you've heard it already, it's okay. You can hear it again. It's that good.
Health problems in this country that we must face honestly. And the first thing I've done every morning for the past 20 years is to get on my knees and pray to God that he would put me in a position to end the chronic disease epidemic and to help America's children. That's why I'm so grateful to President Trump for the opportunity to sit before you today and seek your support and partnership in this endeavor.
Jeez, look at this room. Jeez, it is so packed. My goodness. Yesterday I was just so focused on him. I didn't even get the chance to look at the room. It's wild. Jeez. Okay. So I also wanted to share that RFK Jr. just started off the morning saying that that's why it's such a privilege that President Trump has nominated me for this position, and I'd be like so eternally grateful to do it. Like, let me remind you of an article that President Trump or in an article, some words that President Trump shared a couple months ago, because a couple months ago, Trump advisors said that if they try to touch Tulsi and Kennedy, then it is war. All right. If Tulsi or Bobby face real trouble, that's when Trump will really start to fight. They represent the challenging of the status quo of the bureaucracy. And that is what MAGA is about. So those were Trump advisors a few months ago, but honestly, I don't think anything has changed. I really think that if they don't get confirmed, President Trump will literally bring hell on earth. All right. So last few words, confirm Tulsi, confirm Bobby. All right. There's one other thing that I want to share today, and this is just so funny. I saw this morning, and this might be from Brent Pella. All right, if he's the original poster, but this is kind of a what is it, like a summary of the events, and it is just hilarious. Check this out.
Now, Mr. Kennedy, you've been quoted saying tap water has cooties in it. Is that correct? Sorry, shh, no, don't speak. Mr. Kennedy, if you keep talking back to me, you're going to get a spanking.
So obviously this is just for fun and games, but this is a pretty good summary of exactly how the senators were treating RFK Jr. They didn't let him answer. They didn't let the guy talk. They asked ridiculous questions. They manipulated his words. They were taking things out of context. So although this is a parody, this is highly accurate. Anyways, that's the video. Let me know what you thought about some of these conversations in the comment section, and I will see you all next time. I hope you have a good and wonderful day. Episode's over already? Jeez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.